Hello again. I'd like to talk just for a few minutes more about the ocean and some of the creatures and things that we find in the ocean. Today, boys and girls, I wanted to share with you some other special things I have in my house that are made out of shells. Shells are so beautiful that people will often collect them, and they might make jewelry out of them, like this necklace that I have with a shell on the end of the chain. It's kind of fun to wear something special like that. Another thing I have at my house, which is made out of lots of little shells, is this holder. I sometimes put a plant in this holder and hang it outside during the summertime. But right now I don't have a plant in it, so I put a ball in it. But you can see how handy that is and how pretty it is with all of the little shells that are holding it together. Another special thing that I've had at my house for a long time is a wind chime. Listen to that. These are small, thin shells that they've put all together, and I hang it outside. And when the wind blows, it makes this beautiful sound. Isn't that gorgeous? There are so many fun things we can do with beautiful shells. Well, today my story is about a hermit crab. Now, a hermit crab doesn't have a shell that it makes of its own. A hermit crab has to walk around on the bottom of the ocean looking for an empty shell that it can move into. Maybe it would move into a shell like this, crawl inside, and it would be able to hide in the shell if it needed protection. So let me read my story, A House for Hermit Crab by Carle. Time to move, said Hermit Crab one day in January. I've grown too big for this little shell. He had felt safe and snug in his shell, but now it was too snug. Hermit Crab stepped out of the shell and onto the floor of the ocean. But it was frightening out in the open sea without a shell to hide in. What if a big fish comes along and tries to attack me, he thought. I must find a new house soon. You can see he's way too big for that little shell now. Early in February, Hermit Crab found just the house he was looking for. It was a big shell and strong. He moved right in, wiggling and waggling about inside to see how it felt. It felt just right. But it looked so plain, thought Hermit Crab. In March, Hermit Crab met some sea anemones. They swayed gently back and forth in the water. How beautiful you are, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to come and live on my house? It's so plain, it needs you. I'll come, whispered a little sea anemone. Gently, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and put it on his shell. So he has one thing on his shell so far. In April, Hermit Crab passed a flock of starfish moving slowly along the seafloor. How handsome you are, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to decorate my house? I would, signaled the little sea star. Carefully, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and put it on his house. So now he has two things on his house. In May, Hermit Crab discovered some coral. They were hard and didn't move. How pretty you are, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to help me make my house more beautiful? I would, creaked a crusty coral. Gingerly, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and placed it on his shell. Now he has 1, 2, 3 things on his shell. In June, Hermit Crab came to a group of snails crawling over a rock on the ocean floor. They grazed as they went, picking up algae and bits of debris and leaving a nice and neat path behind them. Wow, how tidy and hard working you are, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to come and help clean my house? I would, offered one of the snails. Happily, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and placed it on his shell. 1, 2, 3, 4 things. In July, Hermit Crab came upon several sea urchins. They had sharp, prickly needles. Ooh, how fierce you look, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to protect my house? I would, answered a spiky sea urchin. Carefully, Hermit Crab picked it up with his claw and placed it near his shell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In August, Hermit Crab and his friends wandered into a forest of seaweed. It's so dark in here, thought Hermit Crab. How dim it is, murmured the sea anemone. How gloomy it is, whispered the starfish. How murky it is, complained the coral. I can't see, said the snail. It's like nighttime, said the sea urchin. In September, Hermit Crab spotted a school of lanternfish darting through the dark water. How bright you are, said Hermit Crab. Would one of you be willing to light up our house? I would, replied one lanternfish, and it swam over near the shell. See how they glow in the dark? That would be helpful, wouldn't it? In October, Hermit Crab approached a pile of smooth stones. How sturdy you are, said Hermit Crab. Would you mind if I rearranged you? Not at all, answered the pebbles. Hermit Crab picked them up one by one in his claw, and he built a wall around his shell. Now my house is perfect, cheered Hermit Crab. So he has rocks and urchins and starfish and lanternfish and sea anemone and coral. Oh, so many things. And a little snail. But in November, Hermit Crab felt that his shell seemed a bit too small. Oh no! Little by little over the year, Hermit Crab had grown. Soon he would have to find another bigger home. But he had come to love his friends, the sea anemone, the starfish, the coral, the sea urchin, the snail, the lanternfish, and even the smooth pebbles. They have been so good to me, thought Hermit Crab. They are like a family. How can I ever leave them? In December, a smaller hermit crab passed by. I've outgrown my shell, she said. Would you know of a place for me? I have outgrown my house too, answered Hermit Crab. I must move on. You're welcome to live here, but you must promise to be good to my friends. I promise, she said. The following January, Hermit Crab stepped out of his little house and moved on. Can't stay in this little shell forever, said Hermit Crab, and he waved goodbye. The ocean floor looked wider than he had remembered, but Hermit Crab wasn't afraid. Soon he spied the perfect house, a big empty shell. It looked, well, a little plain. But sponges, he thought. Barnacles, clownfish, sand dollars, electric eels. Oh, there are so many possibilities for decorating. I can't wait to get started. And off he went. That's a pretty fun story. I wonder how many times Hermit Crab had to move in his life and how many houses he decorated. But it's fun to hear. what they do under the sea, isn't it? Well, thank you, boys and girls. Thanks for joining me. I miss you all, and I hope to see you again sometime soon. Bye.